We have now reached the final stage of the installation. In this video, we will install the detection system onto the X-brace, mount the rotation blocking pins, and attach the bypass handle to the rear back cane. Finally, we will adjust the blocking pins and calibrate the position of the detection system. You receive two boxers. The 24x24 box contains the discs installed in Step 1. The 12x12x7 box contains the axle mounting brackets, previously installed in Step 2. Of course, the detection system that we will install in this video, and a user manual that contains installation instructions. Let's take a closer look at the detection system. Let's examine the detection system components. The system features a central piston, a seat mount, and an X-brace mounting bracket designed to attach directly to the frame. It is completed by two locking boxers positioned near the axles, and a bypass lever, commonly known as the attendant lever, mounting to the cross-brace pivot. While configurations vary between manufacturers, there are two main assembly methods for cross-brace pivots. The first method, and the most common, uses a single, long through bolt, usually 8 mm or 5/16 of an inch. In this case, it's simple. Remove the nut, slide on the X-brace mounting bracket, and proceed to the next step. The second method, often found on wide or double cross braces, uses an internal hollow tube held by two screws, one in the front and one in the back. Depending on the brand, these screws are either 8 mm, like Motion Composites, or 6 mm, like Sunrise Medical. Reverse the pivot tube's orientation. By default, these pivot tubes are designed to slide out toward the front. Since our detection system must be mounted at the rear of the crossbrace, we first need to reverse the tube's orientation, so we can install the detection system from the back. Pro tip before you begin: removing the pivot can cause the folding frame to shift, especially if the seat canvas is tight. To prevent this, place a tie wrap between the crossbrace top bar and the main upper frame tube. This forces the crossbrace top bar to stay firmly seated in the H-shaped saddle supports, freezing the folding mechanism in place and keeping the crossbrace pivot holes aligned. Now you can safely remove or reverse the pivot tube without anything slipping out of alignment. Bonus: leave this tie wrap in place for now. It will also make your life easier later when adjusting the detection system. First, using the appropriate tools, remove the front screw from the pivot tube. Next, slide the pivot tube all the way out from the back, then reverse it and insert it from the front. And voila! We are ready to mount the detection system. Now that the pivot is ready, it's time to prepare the crossbrace bracket. Let's take a look at the crossbrace bracket. On the main component, you'll notice three different mounting holes. The top hole, 10 mm, designed specifically for Motion Composites move wheelchairs. The middle hole, 6 mm, used for double cross braces equipped with a pivot tube, like the Quickie 2, shown earlier. The bottom hole, 8 mm, the most common option, used for standard single cross braces and carbon fiber cross braces. Now look at the left-hand bracket. It features a rubber bumper that slides between the cross brace bars to keep the detection system vertically aligned. Important: make sure the rubber bumper is installed at the exact same level as the mounting hole you'll be using for the cross brace. Now, let's look at how to mount the detection system onto the cross brace. We'll demonstrate this using a pivot tube setup. To make things easier, start by inserting the pivot tube screw into the corresponding hole size on the main bracket, as covered earlier. Next, slide the rubber bumper between the cross brace bars and engage the screw into the pivot tube. For the final step, tighten the assembly securely in place. Once secured, check that the detection system can pivot freely to the left and right. Block-in boxes installation. Now, look at the mounting plate installed at the axle and check the available mounting positions. Ideally, whenever possible, try to choose two different mounting positions for the left and right sides. Choosing different positions for the left and right permits better foldability. However, in this specific setup, only one position is available, so both sides will use the exact same mounting position. Unscrew the two hex bolts located on the front face of the blocking box. Position the blocking boxes with the plastic cover facing either toward the rear or downward. This ensures you can easily remove the covers later for adjustments. Place the blocking box at your chosen mounting position and engage the bolts. Using a 7/16" socket, securely tighten the bolts on both the left and right sides. let's move on to adjusting the rotation blocking pins. Start by removing the plastic covers. Install the wheels equipped with the brake discs. Make sure they are fully seated by pulling outward on them to confirm that the quick-release axle mechanism is properly engaged. You should hear a distinct click indicating it is locked in place. Loosen the cable retaining screws underneath the detection system just enough to allow the cables to slide freely through them. At the blocking box, turn the screw clockwise to increase engagement into the disc, or counterclockwise to reduce it. As you adjust, watch the cable retaining screws under the detection system. You should see the cable move, showing that its length is adjusting to the new position. Continue adjusting until you reach the correct depth. The ideal depth is achieved when the flat tip of the blocking pin extends past the disc's center plate by about 1/8 of an inch. This ensures the chamfer clears the plate and the locking engagement occurs along the full circumference of the pin. With the adjustments complete, we can now put the plastic covers back in place. But before we do that, let's go over a few important details regarding the blocking box assembly. To prevent misadjustments, notice this section of tubing here. It applies continuous pressure against the cable end fitting, ensuring the cable remains perfectly positioned at all times. Now, let's look at the plastic cover. Notice the narrow recessed channel and the blocking pin positioned at the bottom. When the plastic cover is installed, the walls of this channel press against the hex flats of the blocker, preventing it from losing its adjustment. Before putting the plastic covers back on, tighten the cable screws and make sure the rotation blocking pins are properly adjusted. Finally, reinstall the plastic covers and tighten them in place. Let's adjust the height of the detection system. At this stage, locate the L bracket on the side of the detection system that secures it to the cross brace bracket. This bracket will allow us to adjust the height of the detection system. Now, let's examine the L bracket as supplied. Notice the adjustment keys. They are laser cut directly out of the L bracket itself and remain attached until assembly on the line. Because the cut width equals the exact diameter of the laser beam, the clearance is kept to an absolute minimum. This prevents play, eliminates wobble, and prevents the detection system from sagging forward over time. The main benefit is exceptional precision and long-term stability. However, due to the subtle taper of the laser cut, a key inserted in its original cutting orientation fits effortlessly, but may resist if flipped. If you feel any resistance when inserting a key, simply rotate it 180 degrees, and it will slide right in. It is important to understand the overall adjustment philosophy for this system. Depending on the wheelchair make and model, the seat width, and the tension of the upholstery, the amount of seat deflection under load will vary. What is essential to keep in mind is that the detection system requires a 3/4 inch 19 mm travel stroke to fully retract the blocking pins. At this stage, we will perform the adjustment. Start by loosening the vertical adjustment bolts.
So adjusting the detection system, what you do is that you first loose those.
Unscrew the bolts until about 2 or 3 threads are visible on this side. This provides enough clearance to disengage the key and adjust the height.
Okay. And then once you've done that, you're going to adjust it so that this way.
For wheelchair models you set up frequently with identical specifications, creating a custom adjustment jig can save a lot of time. For example, due to the flexibility of the seat upholstery on a Quickie 2, the detector requires a 1.5-inch spacing from the canvas. Using a dedicated 1.5-inch spacer block allows you to set the height instantly without repeating measurements.
Okay, so that you have about an inch. So using the 7/16 wrench, we tight those screws back in place. First one, second one. Firmly, just like this. So once adjusted, this is about the distance that we have. So see, there's enough pull so that we're going to release the wheels. So, but everything is about the deformation of this thing. In some case, you're going to have really tight sling, and then you're going to have to push the system down. well, up in this case. And sometime if you're using cushion, for example, that are having some rigidizer and take hold on the horizontal bar there, then you're going to have to push the system up, down in this case, like this. And if you're using a cushion like a row, for example, it could be in the middle of this. So this is this is what you should do as the first adjustment. And then with the cushion, with the cushion, the type of cushion that you're going to use, you may have to adjust it in field.
Final step, installing the attendant handle.
So now we need to put in place the release handle. So we're going to slide it over the backing. We are sliding it over or on the back cane, okay? And the position is really important because you do not want to have it too far, but you do not want to have it within the curve that is there, okay? So we should be installing it like just at the beginning of the curve, just like this, okay? And to do it, it's really easy. You just need to, once you have the perfect position, we just screw down those 4 screws and it's going to compress against the back cane and will be in place. So we're going to be tightening the release handle on the back cane. So as you can see, I'm going in cross like this. So first, second, third, fourth, okay? And then we'll go making sure that it's really tight and that it's not moving. The best way to attach a cable like this without reducing its life expectancy is to put a double tie wrap like this, okay? So you form a loop like this, for example, okay? And then you attach it like here, okay? So now the cable is out of your way, but it's not firmly attached to the downpipe, so the cable can move freely. There's no friction, exceeding friction in it, okay? And same for here, okay? Large curve are essential for cable to be able to travel through the sheet, especially when you have longer cables like the one that is linked with the release handle. Like for those one here, it's since they are really short, it's not causing any problem. But with these here, you need to make sure that they are not firmly attached to the wheelchair, but they have freedom to move, okay? And once you've done that, obviously you can remove the exceeding length of the tie wrap. You can bring the tie wrap like this, and here you go, you're ready to go, and the chair is ready.